In this video, we are going to focus on the custom templates. So if you remember, once we create a new case, we can choose the template to use according to the type of the case that we are going to work on. So if we have just one template, the default one, which is the one that we have preloaded within the forensics report, you can inside for this specific case modify the template. So it's going to be a modification specifically for the case that we are going to work on. You can write it from this area, you can modify the paragraph, the contents, and use all the tools available. So by using the modify button inside the information of a specific case, the modification of the template will be limited to that specific case. While if we move to the general settings, we have the template area. From here, you see the default template and the possibility to create a new one. So either of these cases, so the modification of the default template from the general one or to a specific one, or the creation of a new template, the area, the modification will be totally the same. I'm going to use the default template in order to show how to use this area and eventually modify what we have already at disposal. So we can start by defining the templates paragraph. For example, in our default template, we have added the abstract, the introduction, the acquisition, the analysis, and the conclusion. To add a new paragraph, just click on the plus button and we are able to add a new chapter by adding the name and then filling with all the dedicated information. So each chapter can be moved up. So for instance, now we have moved up the conclusion or moved down. So it can be possible to modify the position of those chapters inside our final report. Of course, we can also modify the name of the chapters by hovering with the mouse. You see the modify icon and tooltip. So we can also modify the name of the chapter. While clicking on one of these chapters, you see, of course, the content changes. And for the conclusion, as you see, this is the general text that we are going to place anytime that we are going to use this default template. So if we decide that this default template is the one to be used for a criminal proceeding, we know that anytime on the conclusion for this specific template, we are going to include specific information for our case type. And as you see, this is this famous general text that we write it once and then we completely let me say forget about it, because we do not have to copy and paste from previous documentation. Is already there, is written, has no errors, and everything that will be related to the conclusion of this specific case will be related only to this specific case, because we have the shortcode about the conclusion that we are going to apply according to the case in which we are working with. So it will absolutely will be error free for all these actions that we are used to perform without using the forensics report. So this is going to be super useful. The editor is pretty much similar to a Word format, as we saw also in other pages, and its own main tools. So you can select the font, the dimensions, the format, and more. So by starting typing the general text you need to present in your final report, and by using the shortcodes that you can select from here, by hovering with the mouse, you can see the shortcode name and brief description. So in this case is examiner logo. So if in the conclusion we want to add the examiner logo, we just click here, and as you see here we are going to add the examiner logo, but I think it will not be the best thing. And everything that we are going to write here then it will always available once we use this template. On the extreme right of the window, we have also this area in which we have some general template settings, starting from the default font. So anytime if we do not specifically modify in each paragraph, we are going to use the Century Gothic. Of course, it can be modified. The dimension that we have the table of contents, which can be, of course, be modified according to our need. The list of figures, how to write the pages. So in this case, the pages will be pages, 2 points, and the number of the pages, and the number of the page number format, the footer content. So we can also decide what we are going to add in our footer. So no content, just the page number. We want also the case number, the case name, or any other shortcode, general shortcode that we may select. So for now we have the case name. The footer content, it can be also the page number, and on the right we have no content. So we are going to see on our final report, on the left the case name, on the center the page number, and on the right we can decide for anything, or maybe the examiner name or so on. Information about the figures. So the settings for the figures will be the documentation, the assignment documentation will be placed with the 80% of scale. This is going to help us to include also the caption of the figure. And while for the evidence pictures, the scaling will be for the 50%. So half of the page will be dedicated to the photo of the evidence. And then we can also decide if we want to provide a detailed information about the storage media inside the first page. So as you remember, we can define how many storage devices we are going to provide together with the final report. So by ticking this area, we are going to provide detailed information, and as you can guess, those detailed information can be customized and modified in the autocomplete settings that we have seen before. This is for the template settings. We have also the news value management, and for this area, if you want to, you can manage and change the text to show in the generated final report once you do not enter any information inside the case in many areas. So for example, if we do not write the request details once we create the case, nor we work on the case, we generate the report. Once we see the final report, we are going to see inside the chapter for the request details, which is here on the abstract. So we are going to read on the final report the assignment documentation state as follow, and we are going to see this text because actually we haven't wrote anything. So it's a sort of remembering that you can decide to delete the phrase before and add manually the text also later. And this is also the reason why we have decided to generate the report in a Word format, or anyway in an editable format, in order to let you keep on working after the generation of the final report. And then finally we have the custom shortcode that you can create in order to include some specific information available in the case. to some specific paragraph. So in this case, we have created these custom shortcodes, the activities overview, the storage media content, analysis details, and the conclusion. So these are specific shortcodes. For instance, the conclusion that you can see here, this is something custom that we have created, and it can be shown inside the final report according to the information that we are going to apply. But that's not all. You can select the recursive templates. So the recursive templates means that those information that may repeat more than once time in the program, such as the report tools to use that we need to use to open the acquisition perform, the instrumentation used to perform the acquisition, the evidence analyzed, and the type of the extraction performed. So these are kind of a recursive template which we can open and modify. So in this case, these are those recursive templates. So anytime we are going to see the report name and report description if it's going to be used many times. So basically this is all about the default template, so you are free to create as much as templates you need for all your type of cases.